Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Now, historic films made in the spring of 1948 and just released show Eniwetok preparing for heavily guarded and still largely secret tests of new atomic weapons. The test's purpose is to measure atomic effects on thousands of different materials, 30,000 tons of them, not, as at Bikini, to prove military effectiveness.
San Francisco police say that 9 persons have been arrested in a narcotics raid on the headquarters of the Grateful Dead, a widely popular singing group. 2 members of the group, Rod McKernan and Robert Weir, and their business manager, Danny Rifkin, have been booked on suspicion of possessing narcotics.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well, strange lights are causing a viral buzz on YouTube. Could we have caught extraterrestrial activity on a recent newscast? Brandon Arroyo investigates.
As the newscast ended, the controversy began back on September 26th. What is that light shining in the back of the dark night sky?
With coverage reaching all the way back to 1948, for over 70 years, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Now, Fate Magazine Radio is carrying on that tradition of setting the standard in paranormal talk radio as we report and discuss some of the most mysterious and perplexing phenomena imaginable in this strange world of ours. Now, here is your host of Fate Magazine Radio, Kat Hobson.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I am Kat Hobson. I am your host here on Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine, in publication since 1947, and we have a hot new issue right off the press, so you need to go check that out. And if your subscription is not up to date, what are you waiting for? We do great stuff. Check it out. FateMag.com. And I just want to let everyone know that I am so excited about tonight's program. We are a smidgen late getting started because the powers that be on one side or the other, I believe we all know, were not real keen on this show taking off. I had everything set up, good to go, at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Opened the studio back up, and everything is different. Never boring, right? I'm excited. So I am thrilled to have my guest tonight. There's so much going on in this world. We have so many people who are absolutely and without a doubt fighting for their lives. Their family can't be with them in the hospital. They are struggling. And this is a global thing. I am just horrified, as all of y'all are, by the visuals that are coming out, the people who are hospitalized, who are reaching out via Messenger video and FaceTime Live. And I don't really care who you pray to, what you pray to. This needs all of our positive energies flowing to it. This is so much worse than it was when I had the Shift the Narrative show on Wednesday night. This is a big deal. And I think that this is going to be a fantastic show because April Roane is one of the most entirely positive people I know. I've seen her get feisty. Don't get me wrong. We can all do that. And, you know, it just is one of those things that I cannot help but think that this was scheduled on this date by divine intervention. So, April is an author. She is a psychic and a medium. She is a channeler. It's not scary. I saw her do it, and she didn't terrify me at all. She's brilliant. She has had a shift in the weather with how that is happening for her, though. And I am personally really interested in seeing this and talking with her about it. We have both chats open. If you have any way to get on, then, please do. I would suggest the Spreaker chat if you are on a mobile device. It seems to work better. And as I said before, we seem to be under some sort of little bit of a intervention or attack, if you were, because nothing seems to be working. That happens sometimes, and she'll tell you. It happens a lot in her field of work. So, that being said, I'm hoping all of y'all can hear us because I'm showing that we are just perfect. And April Roane, I am so thrilled that you are here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. We did schedule this way before the recent chain of events globally. So I do believe in divine timing, and there is no accident about tonight's show, the theme, and the two people doing it.
I agree. And thank you for including me in that. I always just feel like I am, I don't know, not really, my guests are my focus, right? But I do feel like we have been put here together for a purpose. I agree with you about that. Because we were talking pre-show, and it just seemed that we were being led into this. We share a lot of the experiences and messages from it.
We do. It's, like attracts like. And I really think that the energy right now is really going to separate. It is separating. There's social distancing. And, we're going to find out where we vibrate. We're going to find out who we vibrate to us. There's a lot going on energetically. And so, for us to come together at this time, and, even the people signing on the chat room, Tim Miley with Potographs for Pooches, he just did the big Potographs Parafest in Michigan. He just signed on. So Tim, hello. But yeah, I know. Have you met Tim with Potographs for Pooches before?
I have. I'm not sure I've met him face to face. I'm very familiar with him. I think that he is one of the heroes in our field, and I rescue. Oh. So I have rescued adult dogs. I think that is imperative. I think, and I have senior dogs. I have raised my rescues until they crossed their bridge. Okay. It is. He is one of the best people I feel really on the planet. I love that he is getting into the senior dog rescues. I think that the loss of Murray was tragic. He was a wonderful animal and a wonderful son to Tim. Yeah. And I just think that they don't make them like that very much.
Very well said. I agree. I think there's millions of people. I know Tim is like, not millions, who feel the same way. Murray, if you guys are listening, hashtag Murray's legacy, very special dog. And it even more than that, both of them together reflect the desire to educate about suicide prevention. And, it's again, divine timing. Murray just crossed the bridge. I'm sure he's totally commander over a lot that's going on right now. Tim, I bet he's over the toilet paper stuff, but he is, a very special dog that is maybe needed in a different form right now. And, the two of them will always be connected. But, even that kind of work, being at that event, whole different type of paranormal event that I'm used to, very high vibrational. Everybody was there. I mean, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. The animals it was just a win-win. And despite the fear that's going on, like Kim Scarrett, the founder of the Silver Muzzle Cottage, said, it takes a village. And this period of time and what's happening right now, that is no different than any other threat, fear, anything else that we have faced before as a nation, as a country, as a planet. I think what is different now about this time than any other time before is the level of awareness that is on this planet at this time. So, we have the awareness of choice. We have the awareness of, are we listening to our intuition, or are we listening to the lower vibrational things that are taking place right now in very large volumes? And that's powerful, because I think history, I don't always believe in history repeating itself, but I do believe that history happens for a reason. And, this awareness, if you really look at what's happening, people are connecting all over the place.
All over the globe.
All over the globe, people are talking and people are looking at each other more, even though we may be standing, 6-7 feet away. I do think we're dodging each other, which is good. Except that church. Did you see that post about the church where the guy brought out people and said that our faith is so strong over fear, we're giving away free hugs?
No, but that sounds like the guy in Italy that said, go up and hug a Chinese person.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you don't test.
No, I believe in faith more. In fact, that's my whole reason for breathing. But I also believe that we have smarts and we have intuition and common sense. And, that faith sometimes is staying inside and reserving those hugs so Mother Nature can heal for a little bit, and I think that when human beings become scared, we don't always listen to our heart. We don't listen. And I think that's why there's so many empaths out there. Tim, hello, empath. I want to give him, yes. Tim and Braxton need to wear crowns, king of empathy, because empaths right now are feeling the level of emotions that I think so many of the masses have not felt on their own for many different reasons. And I really do think that empaths, clairsentients, older souls that are aware and choose faith over fear, I think we will become the balance, because I do intuitively feel that it's going to get a lot more surreal than we are prepared for.
I agree with that. And you know what's really amazing? You may have seen this. I posted it for the last 6 months, easily 6 months. Every empath group that I have visited on Facebook, all of my friends who are psychic beyond just empathy. I mean, there's been so much discussion about, oh my God, I so feel something building. It is about to hit a crescendo. Oh, I don't know what this is, but it's not going to be good. It's going to be a good result, but it's not good now. And, I'm sitting here thinking, holy Shazam, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing this for this long. I knew something was coming. People that say they're as sensitive as a rock, right, were saying this to me. Self-described, not me. But I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm glad that I went out and did The Walking Dead. So, I know, I've got the walk down or whatever, but that's bad. That's a bad
I'm glad you're feeling better though.
Me too. Thank you. But, it was the emotion on top of the flu, right? Mm-hmm. And when you start getting an emotional as well as a physical vibe that are bad, it's really hard to shake both. So it took a little while. But what do you think? I mean, do you feel when you're being spoken to, when you're being guided, are you feeling that this initial outbreak is going to be what people have been feeling coming? Or do you feel that the aftermath and perhaps whatever follows that is what people are reacting to?
I think, I feel that there has been a big shift coming for a very long time. I find I'm a natural auditor. So after 21 years of being in the healthcare field, leaving corporate America, I naturally will audit energy, things I notice on an intuitional level. And what I've noticed is a lot of people kind of activated or became aware around 2008, 2009, 2010. Mm-hmm. And I noticed an increase of people, light workers. It's like, oh, there's this theme. And normally, there's that background stuff. Like people have heard of Doreen Virtue and angels. Right. And, we hear it, but it's in the background. Then all of a sudden it becomes part of your world. And then over the last 10 years, that awareness has only peaked. In fact, the word chakra is no longer as abnormal as it once was. So, chakra is no longer just for yogis. So there's been a lot of transformation. Specifically, I'm only really part of in this lifetime, the last 11 years, ironically. And, now that we're at this point, I think that there's a lot of stuff that needs to fall off. And please understand, I'm not saying that being human beings. I'm saying old energy, stagnant energy. There are more human bodies on this planet than this planet has ever experienced in all of the creation of time. And when you add in all those extra bodies, you also have to understand the planet was created to sustain life energy. And that's higher vibration. And as we continue to come in body, because this is like the hot ticket right now, right? So we all want to step into body and we all want this opportunity to be a part of this. It is evolution. It is evolutionary every moment. I mean, in the last year alone, have you not seen more natural disasters take place collectively than we've ever seen?
Well, I know that even today, in the midst of all this, there was a 4.5 or better earthquake in Croatia.
Yeah.
As people are struggling to live through this, things are happening just to, it's like the storms that were, the Floridian hurricanes where they had boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, 4 coming right in. I mean, nothing is low key. Everything that is happening is at a catastrophic level.
Which brings me right to the I know I don't always answer questions directly, and I'm sure Braxton is laughing at this part of your show. Yeah, absolutely. But that brings me to this point is if you're listening to this radio show, this is not by accident. You have received a call. You've received a call a long time ago. You are a feeler and you are aware of your feels, and it sucks sometimes. In fact, a lot of feelers are dealing with depression, but many of us have changed lives globally already. Even if that means 4 legs, okay, for 4 legs. And so we have gotten that call. And so that feeling or that void in our heart is about to activate a little bit, kind of like the Care Bear stare. And this is where we're going to connect. Now, that's why I am such an advocate for breath, because that breath is going to connect all of us together even more now than ever. It's going to lift vibration. And so I always joke, just do 3 breaths when you're on the toilet. You're going to be there anyway. But now people understand why I want us to breathe, because it really does lift us together. And as we do that, as we connect to those feelings and we believe in what everybody else thinks is absolutely bonkers, what's going to happen is we are going to create a global shift. It creates a balance. And I say that with a little bit of an urgency, not a warning, not a panic, but this is happening anyway.
True.
This is happening anyway. And as we continue to watch this, we don't point the finger and blame. I think people are so afraid right now that they are desperate to find someone to have a step into control and take things over. So we all want to point that finger at who was responsible for this. But the truth is, we can only focus on what we can. And that starts with that breath.
Well, absolutely. And we're actually supposed to be going to break right now, but I am going to let people know that we are running this show just straight through. So if you have questions, we probably will take a bit of a break at the top of the hour. But other than that, we are just running straight through. But I do need people to know you are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we are so glad you are, because, as she says, if you're listening, you're supposed to be. So there you go. I apologize for the interruption, but I did want to let people know that I do have to still do identifications.
That's okay. I get so inspired when I see people being called into their light, stepping into their light despite what is going on around us. And what I will say is this is, most people are like, well, what does this mean? Is it the end of the world? This is not the end of the world.
Nope.
This is not the end of the world. And so all of those posts about Armageddon, and yes, I'll joke about the apocalypse. I'll joke about the Walking Dead, But honestly, we are a species that came here to survive. And right now the surviving will be those that are connected to their faith. They're connected to what they believe in. What is it that calls you every day? What is it that inspires you? That is that one thing that Spirit says, dude, that's your magic power. Could you use that more?
Exactly. And something else is that macabre sense of humor. I mean, sometimes to deal with something that is so quite overwhelming as this is. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I was absolutely so tense. My husband had to come home from work Tuesday because his blood pressure and his heart rate was just completely out of whack. He went to the doctor. They did EKGs. They did everything else. And they were like, there's nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. It's stress. And
stress is the number one killer now.
Yes, it is. And I was just like, okay, we're not watching news. We're not watching television. We are going to have a just mellow day and evening. And by jingo, he got up the next morning and went to work, and he has been pretty much right as rain since. Mm-hmm. Because he was worried about the guys who work for him. He didn't know how he would be able to keep them on and pay, and now everything just seems to be flowing, and he was borrowing trouble. Mm-hmm. People do that in these circumstances.
Well, they do. And, when you had asked earlier about, people that feel things, knew this was coming, this has been unfolding. And as we continue to move through this, there is going to be a level of stress that we are feeling in the air. And if you're feeling that, pay attention to that, because that means you're clairsentient. You are feeling, you're sensitive to energy, and you are picking up the shift in the air. Does not mean you have to react to it. And that's going to be the hard part right now, because I teach empaths how to embrace their empathy, because does feel like a curse, but it is the very gift that is going to allow us to rise from this. And I still walked into Publix and I bought 90 million boxes of pasta because I totally panicked. So it's easy to do right now. However, this is why this whole situation is important, because in each moment, we really do have the ability to remember we are okay. Mm-hmm. We need to come together. We need to be smart, but we don't have to jump off of the planet. We don't have to completely flip out, and we don't have to hurt each other. I mean, there's
exactly, and I'm going to just say that there is so much of that due to panic. People who would never say boo to a goose are going for the jugular on these Facebook posts. Mm-hmm. I sit there and I love politics. I'm a weirdo. I study political science. I love watching things, as they go. Mm-hmm. And, when we had a national emergency declared, there were repercussions to that declaration, right? That mm-hmm. carries a lot of weight. And it's just like, the Stafford Act, that carries a lot of weight. All these things that have been being invoked, I know what that means. Mm-hmm. A lot of people do. But if you don't know what it means, it just sounds like, nothing is happening. Mm-hmm. And, these are just words. And, I saw War Powers Act, and I'm like, well, that's a big one too. Mm-hmm. All these things that are being done to take care of what has to happen. But there are steps that have to evolve in order to get things implemented. So, mm-hmm. And everybody is like, we live in such a right now, fix this, right now, fix this, do this right now. Why is this not happening? We're trained that way.
Yeah, we're
a 20-second soundbite.
Yeah, we're a reactive society. We're not a proactive society.
And, things, you can't just, I have tried my entire life to twitch my nose. I can't do it still. I'm 58 mm-hmm. years old. I've never figured out how to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, I can't twitch my nose and make sure that all of my grandchildren and children are safe, or that my animals are safe. I mean, you just have to do the best you can, plan. You do have mm-hmm. to plan. And everybody was in such a tizzy from media frenzy or whatever that was feeding them, that they were forgetting self-care and take care and get stuff how to cook. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is a period. This is a period of balance. It always has been. And, in the 11 years of doing the work I do, I have found that if Spirit gives you a message, apply it when you have the flexibility to do it how you want to do it. Because if it's part of your unfolding, when Spirit steps in, it's going to happen. And that's where people go, oh my goodness, I broke my leg. And I want to tell my clients, but you hated your job. Now you're home, you're healing, and you have time to look for another job. But we complain about what we don't have. And then when we have it, we never use it. Like, how many people are home right now and they have literally asked under your breath, I wish I had a day off to do laundry, or I wish I had a day off to paint. And we've had several days off. And have we actually done those things? I believe in the balance. And so people that are panicking and watching the news 24/7, not a balance, not a healthy balance. But I do believe that there are some people that have completely closed themselves off to what's happening. And so they don't listen to anything. They don't believe any of it. And that isn't a healthy balance. And so during this time, I'm watching the news. I'm not afraid of it because I understand the bigger picture. But I also feel that there are some empaths that even though we don't, law of attraction is important. And so we don't want to look at something that we don't want more of. However, I also find that spirit always throws me into the trenches. And that's kind of where I do my, people will say fairy sprinkling or whatever. I just want to lift stuff. I want to lift people.
I want to woo-woo stuff all the time.
I love it. You know, I want to inspire people to step into their power, you know, blow some breath, some life back into them, because there are people right now in fear that are part of this unfolding in a positive way. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot of blame. I try to stay out of the politics because you know, when you have spirit step in, politics don't matter.
Absolutely. I view politics, there's no baseball, there's no basketball, there's not even replay. So politics is sport. I mean, to me, politics is like my husband's, you know, basketball.
Yeah.
But this has gotten to the point that, you know, I'm just like, there's a really lot of angst right now that we need to be sending out positivity and smooth these vibes. And, oh, holy wow. You know, I sit there and, you know, I think that what actually made me realize that you cannot, and I really try not to be political. I really don't, because I'm pretty much Switzerland. I'm for whoever is getting a job done and is doing a good job and seems to have, you know, that wants to do what they were put there to do. I don't care who you are, as long as you're doing a good job, right? And so I sit back and I see all this hatred and vitriol, which actually kind of tears at me. And because empath, right?
You're right.
And whatever else is mixed up in there. But it's just like no. Do you not realize that this is just during the maelstrom? You know, you have to step away with this hurt and this anger, because it's kind of like in Ghostbusters 2 with all that goo under the city streets of New York, right? And it just reached out and touched things, and it created the whole attitude that that was destroying the camaraderie of the city. You know, and I see and feel that happening in society as a whole. So that's when I step back and I'm just kind of like, okay, we just need to put out peace and healing and, you know, take care of each other. We are all here at this time in these bodies that we chose to be in, doing things that we're supposed to be doing, and we're getting so sidetracked that, or maybe this is part of it. Maybe we're supposed to be here and be experiencing this angst. And, you know, I find a really difficult balance there. Do you find that a lot of people that really do get what their purpose is are kind of being overwhelmed by that negativity?
I'm finding that everybody right now is feeling a little bit of what the heck is going on. I think everybody is a little shaken a little bit.
So not just me then. That's a good thing to know.
No, it has everybody's attention. And even those that are like, oh, we're going to be totally fine. That's called avoidance. But they've still got, you know, they still have seen everything. I think that a lot of the people that are in the trenches right now, you know, especially the empaths that are feeling everything, the healers, the teachers, the medical staff, you know, the veterinarians. A friend of mine is a manager of a vet clinic locally, and she's been working 12-hour days. And so, you know, we have people that are in the trenches doing that, bringing the love. But I think that empaths have to remember to take care of themselves. You can't pour from an empty cup. And we forget to practice compassion with ourselves. We forget to take those Epsom salt baths. We forget to hug ourselves or ask for hugs. You know, we don't want to be a burden, but some of us have a love language of touch, just could you hold me? Some of us need that encouragement. So I think more than anything, we need to really be soft with ourselves right now. This is energy that we have never experienced. When it technically knocks our government on their butt a little bit, when we are not prepared, it's like being on the Titanic with not enough lifeboats, And
we don't even have a band.
We don't even have I'll sing, but it's not pretty. But no, it's not that we're not going down. Will there be a lot of deaths? I think the reality of that is already happening. So it's not a Debbie Downer. It's not a warning. We are in a state of rapid manifesting. Yes. Because the masses are in a rapidly growing fear-based environment. And I know that people are like, dude, it's an actual virus. I get that. But on a higher level, a higher vibration, when we stay put and we allow ourselves to be in the environment Spirit has placed us in, that's why many of us are quarantined or we are staying home. Jobs have laid people off because Spirit is protecting you. Spirit is stepping in. People go, God, why do you not ever help me? God is keeping you home for a moment. Your higher power, Allah, whatever your higher power is, take your blessing, get out of the way and allow whatever is about to happen. Yes. But make sure that at home you are rested, that you are informed, that you are calm, that you are safe. And I love that because Spirit says safe stands for soothed. Stay soothed. Stay anchored. Stay anchored in what inspires you and not what hurts you. Stay free. Stay freedom of mind, draw, daydream, do those projects with your kids, and then stay eased. Just go easy with this, little bits. And, we're going to get through this. We are a species that bounces. But I want us to get through it together. And the only way that I could do that is to remind people to stop complaining, take a breath. This is a time for everybody to take responsibility, every individual person. This is a time where evidently each state is going to be behaving very differently. And then on a local level, you're going to watch your individual mayors maybe not communicating the same way in each city or each county. And so there's going to be a lot of chaos even at the local level. Chill out.
But these are people that know their environments. They know what their citizenry is anticipating and needs because that is their community. And that's okay. Yeah. You're right. Just let it happen.
Let it happen. Some of those community leaders are in awe right now. They are with, everything trickles down from the top. And again, this is not a period to find out where it went awry. It's a period to realize we got to do what we got to do now. And I'm finding a lot of community leaders on the local level are not feeling supported. They don't have access to funds or resources. They are doing what they have to do. And that interaction with the governor and the community leaders, it just isn't happening. Why? Because the governor is trying to handle a much bigger problem for the entire state. And so state by state, no, we were not prepared. I don't think anybody took The Walking Dead seriously.
I mean, I only did it for a day, but, and I didn't even watch the show. Sorry, Julio. I can just see Santiago now.
Yes.
Who, by the way, I hope is feeling so much better.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We all do. It's, this is, and you just showed exactly what we could do. I hope he's feeling so much better.
Yes.
Right? Instead of, and I don't mean to sound cross or rude, but I've heard so many times, I hope so-and-so gets the virus. I hope that population gets the virus.
Yes.
I mean, words are magical. That's why they call it spelling. So, this is a period of time to realize that what you say, what you put out, even in a text, in a thought, that's coming back twofold right now, you know? And so we have got to, are you okay? How are you doing? How many times a day do we ask each other, are you good? How are you? And we really aren't present.
Right? I mean, you need to pay attention to the response because it's not always verbal. You may get oh, I'm great. But the body posture, the tone of voice, the eyes will tell you if you're face to face. And, it's just really imperative that we do communicate. I stepped on what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Just Spirit's very loud tonight. Like, as you're talking, I hear we've been dealing with a pandemic way before the virus. And that pandemic was the lack of communication and low vibration, sadness, depression. And nobody took depression seriously. And that kills people in the thousands every day. And that pandemic, now we're dealing with a virus. And now people are, it's just crazy. It's like Spirit's saying, Stop. I'm putting all of you in your time out, but you're still going to need each other, relax. And, for those people who are passing or worried or, Spirit has you. So, when we're either here or we're there, a lot of people are like, no, I'm going to go to hell. Honeys. We're right in the middle of hell. You have a front row seat and you still have choice. It's called free will. It's the most amazing ability you will ever have. And, we're good. We really are good. If we could have dogs like Murray and they pass away and go to a place over the Rainbow Bridge, all of us have that experience and are entitled to that because that's what love is. I think all of us have forgotten how to love each other. I think we've forgotten how to love ourselves. In fact, so many of us we don't know how to love ourselves.
Well, so many of us, and everybody goes to that place sometimes, don't even like ourselves. And I find it interesting that so many people are so quick to be harsh with others because they don't think they're worthy of anything different than that themselves. So how can someone else be? And, one thing that I have found that we're being asked here in chat is, this is from Sherry. And Sherry says, who are these spirits she speaks with? So I'm like, well, I know that you've got one group that are relatively new who are kind of surprising you. But because we talked about that, but can you answer that for her?
Sure. So I hold space. I'm 42 years old. I'm 5'5". No, aside from being a wife, a mom, Polish, Italian, Irish, big mouth, I hold space for spirit. And what does that mean? I tend to just hold space. And for the last 10 years, those spirit entities, the other side, tends to be our own spirit guides, angels, and loved ones until December 30th of 2019. And on December 30th of 2019, I had received messages from the other side to channel Archangel Gabriel, which I was not comfortable doing. Again, we're all going to grow, and sometimes we got to do things that are new for us and uncomfortable, even though we know that it's for the betterment of everybody. So I went to go live on my website. It was planned. I wore a dress, never know what's going to happen. And my website broke twice. So I ended up having to go live. Spirit literally said, just go live on Facebook. And I thought, I'm going to die. There goes my career. My whole face ended up changing. My voice ended up changing. Yes. You can watch the video. It's on my saved videos. It is public. But I experienced something I had not before on a very different level. Again, divine timing with everyone listening. There are energies on the other side. Those energies, high vibrational divine beings, source energy, higher power. I think 2020 year of blessings also means remove labels. So when I go into all of that, the energies coming through are very much collective consciousness energy. And from Gabriel, on January 13th at 12:22 a.m., I ended up channeling through writing 3 hours from a group that calls themselves the Channel. And they are a collective, one voice, but they don't bring a lot of attention to who they are. Don't capitalize the letters, no need to underline or bold them. It's just another avenue for information that needs to come through at this time. And the information collectively between Gabriel and the Channel and so many people who are getting this message right now, it's all the same message. And so it's powerful, and working with the Channel has been very different, very new. I don't mind holding space and having them come through this evening for you if you want. I can explain a little bit. We could go to break, and then whatever you want to do, I can hold space for them. But they are coming through from a different plane. They are here to assist humanity at this time, and they do classify themselves as the winged ones of gold. But they include many of us in that classification as well.
Well, I would like to hear what they have to say. I don't know how anyone else feels. I'm sure they'll let us know in chat.
Okay.
But I am, because I did see you doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Fun.
It was so unexpected, because all I got was a message in my notifications that April Roane is going live. And I'm like, awesome. I haven't seen her live in a hot minute. So I went, and boom, there you were. Right?
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. It really was. And I'm sitting there going, well, Jiminy Crickets. And let's see, we've got about 10 minutes before we go to break. But Sherry has another question before we do that, if you don't mind.
Sure. No, not at all.
Okay, and this is relevant to the whole virus thing. And
okay.
She says, I just read the second part of the question. I know why she's asking that. But the answer to that one is no, Sherry. But how long do you feel that this whole virus thing will last? And the second part is, do you think kids will be back in school this year?
Great question. And I was actually just posting the chat link because I have a lot of people trying to look for this, and that way they could jump on and talk to us. So the virus, when I kind of going to the other side and talking to spirit for me is very much like going through the magic curtain. And so I'll knock and it's like, yo, hey, can I ask a question? And what happens is they're going to show me whatever they need to show me. And they keep saying, get out of the way. And as I go into this, what I do hear is they don't get it, and it's going to get worse. And so, yeah, am I going to lie? No, that's a little scary, but it's been worse even way before this pandemic. Okay, so I go into this, and I honestly do not feel that students will be going back to school as soon as they think they will. In fact, I think people that keep thinking this is just a scare are about to get really, really, really upset, because I think that there are going to be restrictions that are put all over every welcome back, Brenda. Over every zip code, and it's important. But I think honestly that this is going to change much more than we realize, and this means how we handle things at a local level. In fact, we're going to be more local than we are united. If you think about that, we're the United States, and right now each state is being told to act separately. So that's only going to breed more separation, and fear can only breed more separation. And as long as that fear and separation is there, not only will this virus be present, but ultimately there will be more. And so I say, let's hunker down. Let's make this a new way of doing things. Let's get comfortable with the internet and then roll. I don't feel or see any type of comfort before, September, October, November. I feel that we're still cleaning up, dealing with this. I can't even say clean up, but we're still dealing with this.
That's a little freaky.
But yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, we needed some change.
Well, you know what? As a society, we are so broken, right? That I think this is kind of like a reset.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do agree, get comfortable with the internet. But I think that, you have to be, I think as we go through this, we're going to be becoming more mindful. Mindfulness seems to be the key word that I'm seeing more and more in people's postings and their attitudes. People that I wouldn't even think would be awakening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really interesting to me.
And you'll watch that. You're going to watch, as big and as scary as it sounds, you're also going to watch some pretty amazing things start to happen.
Well, I think so too. And, Katie over in our Spreaker chat says November. No, yikes, no winches time. We are the wicked winches. Our husbands named us.
I love that.
She's like, because we always go to Key West.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, always winches time. Doesn't have to be, in November. Actually, we go in October, the first week in November. But, and that's okay, because this is something I really think, based on what I watch and read and hear out of the people in Italy that I'm reading and things of that nature, because they're primarily writing in English, which I appreciate. But, they're sharing. And when they started sending out, we are you in 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks notice from watching us.
Yeah.
And that's when you started hearing, that's when you started hearing the mayor of New York City. You started hearing the governor of New York, who, by the way, kudos to him. He's really setting up a great campaign for, the next election cycle.
Totally
he's
agree.
Doing a great job, but he needs to be doing his job and get off of the TV. I mean, he has to be taking these steps, but he is getting his word out. So kudos on that. And people are listening to him. So kudos on that too. But, it's just Brenda in the other chat. She moved over there, says the shelves are bare at our closest Walmart and she'd like some food. Not a lot, just enough. And I'm like, everything. All the shelves are bare. But if you go early in the morning, they're restocking every day. We are not going to starve. Our truck drivers are still driving. We are not in any danger of starving. You just have to be planning on when to go. It's okay.
We're going to survive. We're going to need to help those who can't. Okay, yes. There are going to be elderly that can't leave. They can't go into the grocery stores. We're going to get through this. There's going to be a change of what we think is appropriate. We're going to learn how to deal with each other differently. It's already happening. I think more importantly, this is a huge wake-up call to learn how to treat not just each other, but the planet we're on. And I'm not talking about I eat meat, but, come up with more sustainable ways to do things. And unfortunately, it does come down to faith, because there will always be a battle between light and dark going on. And somehow we fit in between there. And, that's why I think we're all listening to this show tonight, because we're really trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Absolutely. And, the earth makes music for those who will listen. It's on my business card. It's true.
Wow.
But my personal card that, I hand out with just my personal emails and stuff. But it is. Yeah, Brenda says Victory Gardens come to mind. Exactly. I was talking with my Brit friends today. And, they know what they come from. Right? And I think that we're in danger of forgetting that. Maybe that's what this is for, too. That we come from sterner stock than what we've been acting like.
Yeah.
But we're going to go ahead and take our break. It is not quite the top of the hour, but if I should have to go back and pop something or other in there, I have room to do it. But if you are trying to get to our chat rooms, if you are listening on Spreaker, then you should have it there. You can go into Spreaker, search WBHM-DB. You'll see Fate Mag Radio. And bada boom, bada bing, you're there. If you are listening through Fate Mag Radio or through WBHM-DB.com, we have the chats there too. And I can see all of them. We are going to be taking your questions as they come. And we will be right back where we're going to, I guess we're going to let the channel share with us. Am I right?
I think
if they're so inclined,
they are. I don't have that option. It's like, get out of the way. So yes, I will be holding space for them.
I love that, holding space.
Yeah,
that's such a strong term.
It's true. We do it every day with people we love, and we don't even realize it.
Well, I'm going to want you to talk about that some more too.
Okay.
But with that being said, we are, Brenda's jumping chats. Look at her. I didn't know she was an Olympian. Go, girl. So we will be right back. And, maybe there's a little good news. You just never know. I am always amazed by what I didn't know. We'll see you at the end of this.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis. Their new release, The Music of Wayne Shorter, features the legendary saxophonist performing some of his most famous songs against a big band backdrop. Listen now at jazz.org/NPR.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. President Trump says the U.S. is marshaling every resource available to fight the coronavirus. In his daily coronavirus briefing, Trump says he approved requests for major disaster declarations for New York, California, and Washington state, activating the National Guard to help with their fight against the pandemic.
We have large quantities of medical equipment and supplies on the way, based on all of this, to those states, including respirators, surgical masks and gowns, face shields, coveralls, and gloves, with large quantities already delivered to Washington and to New York.
He also says the USNS Mercy, a naval hospital ship, will head to Los Angeles to provide additional medical capacity to the city's hospitals. And Trump announced a new public-private partnership with the Department of Energy, tech companies, and others to use what he calls supercomputing resources to fight the virus. Coronavirus cases and deaths in Italy rose again today, but they increased in smaller numbers than they did yesterday. NPR's Silvia Poggioli reports the data was released today after the government further tightened a lockdown.
The number of people who died from COVID-19 in the last 24 hours is 651, almost 150 fewer than Saturday's number of deceased. The total number of COVID-19 cases rose to more than 59,000, the lowest rise in percentage terms since the virus was identified in Italy a month ago. Civil Protection Agency Chief Angelo Borelli said he hoped this downward trend would continue in coming days, but he stressed strict lockdown measures decided by the government must be fully enforced. Late last night, Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte announced the total shutdown of all production facilities except those essential to maintaining the nation's supply chain. Silvia Poggioli, NPR News, Rome.
The San Francisco Bay Area expects to open a rapid testing facility tomorrow, geared toward first responders and healthcare workers with recent exposure to the coronavirus, as well as symptomatic members of the public. Sarah Hosseini from member station KQED reports a local fire chief is leading the charge.
In the city of Hayward, Fire Chief Garrett Contreras says he has secured public funds and a partnership with the Silicon Valley Lab to offer up to 370 tests a day over the next month at one of his fire stations, with results back within 6 to 24 hours. He hopes the effort will keep his staff working and decrease the pressure on hospital emergency rooms. If successful, he hopes other fire departments will follow suit.
There's enough equipment out there, in my belief. It's just not at the places that it needs to because it's not organized the way that we would organize resources in the fire service.
Tests are free regardless of city or immigration status and do not require an existing doctor's referral. For NPR News, I'm Sarah Hosseini.
U.S. futures contracts are trading lower at this hour. You're listening to NPR News. In Syria, the government has announced the first confirmed case of the coronavirus. NPR's Alice Fordham reports the country's health services are ravaged by war.
9 years of civil war have seen hospitals targeted by airstrikes in rebel areas and impoverished in government-held cities. The World Health Organization considers Syria a very high-risk country where it will be difficult to combat the spread of coronavirus. 70% of the country's medical workers have left. The government has announced numerous measures to combat the spread of coronavirus, including shutting down public transport and cancelling Friday prayers. The WHO only began to supply testing kits and training last week, and until now the government had denied there were any positive tests for coronavirus. But opposition monitors, sources in Damascus and medical groups believe it is likely there have been many cases already. Alice Fordham, NPR News, Beirut.
Marriott International says it's furloughing thousands of corporate employees in the U.S. and around the world because of the pandemic. The AP reports it adds to the world's largest hotel company's recent staff reductions that started last week. Marriott says it will temporarily lay off about two-thirds of its 4,000 employees at its headquarters outside Washington, D.C., and another two-thirds of its corporate staff around the world. These layoffs are expected to last about 90 days starting next month. The company says it expects to bring all staff back when it can. Marriott has about 174,000 employees total. Asian markets are trading lower at this hour. The Asia Dow is down nearly 1%. I'm Janine Herbst, and you're listening to NPR News from Washington.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
Welcome back to the second hour of Fate Mag Radio. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and I thank you so much. I am Kat Hobson. I am the voice of Fate, and thrilled to do it too, let me tell you. We are fortunate tonight to be enjoying April Roane as our guest. I have utmost respect for her. She is one of the most positive, kind people I know. I have not gotten to spend a lot of FaceTime with her, but I know who she's married to, and they are Pete and repeat as far as their hearts go. So I think that this is going to be just another jam-packed second half of the show. I am going to break a little bit near the bottom of the hour for a station ID, but other than that, we are rolling through this show tonight. I see no reason not to. Nothing else in the world is running the way it's supposed to, so we're going rogue. So, April, thank you again for being here. I appreciate that. And
you're welcome.
I also wanted to let people know again, we planned this show a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that the things in the world that are happening now are right here is pretty unusual. Things happen the way they're supposed to. The universe lines them up and knocks them down. So, here we are now. But where would you like to go now? I'm not really sure what to do.
Well, we are talking before the break about channeling and holding space. So I'd like to go into what holding space is, because a lot of people actually ask that question.
Okay, I would love for you to give a good explanation for that. Okay.
When I started doing this work with Spirit in 2009, by choice, I never looked at it as talking to dead people, or it was never me. It wasn't me going to them. It was more like them going through me. And so from early on, I just always looked at it as holding space for Spirit. And so I hold space. What do? I show up making sure that I'm a vibrational match. And that normally means just breathing, meditating, and staying in that vibration. It also means practicing the faith in this that I have, and being open to flow. And so holding that space, it's come through before from your guides. A lot of people do hold space in readings, and they hold space for Spirit. When I channel, I hold space for recently Archangel Gabriel and the channel. And all that means is I hold space and I allow the vibration of their being to speak through me. I've always been able to maintain my own voice or my own facial expressions until Gabriel and the channel showed up. My voice it shifts a little bit. I like to use the words and like, and I giggle a lot, and they are very black, very white. They're very smart. Not that I'm not smart, but they go into details about things I have no time to study for. And so that's all it means is I hold space. I think we hold space for people on a daily basis. And what is that space that we're holding? Are we present? Are we allowing there to be an exchange of energy, right? We hold space for our lovers. How are you? Are you really present in that question? I missed your face. I love you. We hold space for our children. And some of us don't. Some of us don't hold space. So I think when we hold space, it means being 150 million% present with whatever is in that space with you, and then choosing to connect with whatever is higher vibrational of love and light in that space for you, through you, with you, and for those involved.
Okay. That makes sense. And I know that when I am not doing that for my husband, he lets me know.
Yes.
So, because he's like, I'm talking to you here, because I'll get distracted. I'm reading something. I've got something else on my mind. I find myself waiting for my chance to say the next thing with him sometimes that I don't do with other people. Mm-hmm. And that's so rude and hurtful, right? So I just try my very best not to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hurt the person that matters the most.
No, I mean, I think all of us being forced to be somewhat quarantined a little bit, even those people that are in an area where they can come and go, they're still aware of this. And I think on a global level, as humans, we are all experiencing some sort of quarantine. And so while we're in these places, whether they're physical, emotionally quarantined, spiritually quarantined, I think it's important to realize, do we hold space for ourselves? And what is that space? Have you ever really sat and watched? Spirit's like, hey, you're about to get all up close and personal with your family or those you share space with under that roof. let's talk about holding space now. And so when we hold space for ourselves, when no one else is looking, are we putting ourselves down? Are we always looking at how much we've lost? Or are we holding space and looking at how much we've gained, how much we have to gain? What can we do to help others gain? I don't think most of us really ever looked at how we hold space before.
I have not. So thank you. I realized without that terminology so much, right? Because I do know that when I get distracted when he's talking to me, that I am dropping the ball on that. So I get that. But anyway, that's very enlightening.
Yeah, I think what is so cool about now is we are being forced to stay separate, but at the same time, we are more interested in each other than we've ever been. Mm-hmm. So, I honestly am, I'm not happy about the suffering. I don't like suffering for anybody, anything. But I do believe that there are times where we suffer longer than necessary, because sometimes all we know how to do is suffer. Like some people want love, but they don't know how to let love in. And I think that we can suffer as long as we choose to suffer until we realize that we don't have to.
I agree with that. Until we just let it go. And let it go and just go in faith.
Go in faith. That's a big one. How about we start off with the channel with faith? I like that because it just feels right.
Okay. If the channel feels that.
Well, the minute you said go in faith, I thought, ooh, I like that. And then I heard, let's address it. So I was like, okay. So
who am I to argue?
I will just let your listeners know first. Thank you for listening to Fate Magazine Radio. Thank you for being here, my spirit posse, for listening. I know some of you are in the chat room. I'm just very blessed to be able to play with this unfolding with other like-minded people. When I go into this space, this is a space that all of us resonate on at one time or another. It is also a space through which we have the opportunity to choose to hold that focus, to hold that vibration. And so that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to hold that space for the channel at this time. That means it's through me. It is not from me. So I hold that space. I am going to be taking some breaths, and then I'm going to allow them to speak. I will be present, so if there's a reason to jump in, or I can hear you, Kat, but they tend to have the microphone. So if you want, I'm going to go, or if you don't mind, I'm going to go into some breaths right now, and then I will just tell people, get their pen and paper. They may want to take some notes, and we'll roll from here, okay?
I have mine, and I'm sure everybody else has theirs as well.
Okay.
And you do your breaths.
I'm so glad this is audible tonight and not visual, because when I do the channel, I tend to rock. And
you do.
I do. I tend to rock, and I kind of feel like I'm dancing like Elaine from Seinfeld. So
it's okay. I run like Phoebe. It's all
oh, geez. I love Phoebe. All right. So if each of you could just take a moment, let's just take a moment. All of you who are listening live, all of you who are listening to the recorded show, just take a moment to be present in your being in this space. No matter where you are, there is a connection that is taking place. Take a breath into that connection. And then just exhale, let go. A lot of people say, how do you let go? You exhale. I can't hold on to this anymore. Then exhale. Take another breath. Breathe in. Open your mouth and exhale. Let it go. And one final breath, breathe in through your nose. Hold that breath, let your body absorb that oxygen, this life-giving breath, this source that's connecting all of us. Open your mouth at this time and give it back. All of us at this time have been listening and we have been watching, and all of you at this time have been listening and watching. And yet so many of you are afraid to do the receiving of what it is you are experiencing. There is no more or no less a time to worry. This is just a simple time of transformation, moving on from one existence to another. And this time with this existence is a necessary time of transformation because you are not existing. You are not balanced. You are not thriving. You are not working together. You are collectively falling apart. This is no more a time of universal realignment so that you can feel connected. And yet so many of you do not breathe. Breathe into this vessel that you call your body. It is the very vessel that you try to avoid. Every breath that you take, this is a time where you reclaim your ability to be alive, because if you are receiving this message at this time, then it is you who have summoned this message because you are alive. You are listening. You are breathing. But are you? Do not focus on the very things that are going to scare you. They will bring you to a lower vibration. And that is not a vibration where you can sustain life energy. So it is your job, as you are hearing this, to keep your focus up, to focus high, to focus with the flow and not with the old that is breaking off. You are a species that must learn to let go of things that are leaving. You don't. You say you do, but you sit there and spend your entire moment in focus on all of the things that have left your vibration. You don't allow yourself to vibrate in the present moment. Therefore, what is there to live to move to ease to? This is a time where you are to connect to the moment so that you have a place to move to ease to, and to breathe to. Be real with yourself. Do not be real with everyone else, because everyone else is being real with everyone else and no one is home. Those who have thoughts are not speaking them, and those who are speaking are not thinking. And no one is communicating about feeling. Aside from where you have been going, aside from where you have been headed collectively, you continue to avoid the feeling, but you don't understand the feeling is the flow. It is the frequency from which you continue to come and thrive and go. Your ability to feel and choose to vibrate higher, to choose that life, to let in that love allows you to continue to live. And until you learn how to choose you, so many of you will fall off. Life is to be lived, and it is lived by experience. It is time that you hold space for this experience and let it change you. You say to be the change in this world through which it is needed, but yet you do not step forward to be that change. You keep aligning with the focus. You keep looking at, acknowledging all of those that need to connect, all of those that need to listen. You acknowledge all of those that need to change, but none of you are acknowledging you. None of you are holding that space to even realize what needs to be changed. If it does not lift you, it will lower you. And you do not do well when you are lowered. You do not do well when you are sad. You do not do well when you are afraid. You have never done well when you are afraid. And that is why we are so confused, because you are not a being, a creature of fear. You are a being and creatures of victory, of alignment, of love, of connecting, of truth, of allowing. You are beings of faith. And where are your beliefs right now? Are your beliefs in what you want? Are your beliefs in what you can change, in your ability to change? Or are your beliefs in the fact that you aren't capable of being the change? What little faith you have. Faith in yourself. Yourself, like Christmas lights on a tree, like lights on the menorah, yourself lights up. It is a festival of truth. It is a festival of individuality. It is a festival of opening. It is a festival of receiving. It is a festival of life, and all of you have forgotten how to dance and celebrate together. You compete with each other and you complain about each other. Why would you complain about things you must compete with? It makes no sense to us. Stop competing. Stop watching what you cannot control. Start looking at what you can. Your truth lies in your ability to become aware of how you hold space. And your truth is just as necessary as is each individual's truth at this time. Your job is to align with the truths that lift you. There will be interference at this time. There will be energy that steps in to assist with the great divide. It is not a division at this time more than it is a realignment, but it is a time of great calm. And that is what we ask for you at this time. Align with the great calm. Allow what is happening and do your part to align yourself, to listen, to breathe, to be alive, the best that you can be alive in your body, in your breath, in your thoughts. As the weeks turn to months, they will create transformation, and you must be flexible enough to transform. Again, this is why most of you are here. You came for great transformation. You asked to become beings that you have never been able to be, and you are ready. And so we say to you, remember, you are ready. So be open to change and allow that change to first come through you. Allow that change to first happen within you, and then you will be a part of the change that is unfolding. It is time that you hear us. It is time that you hear the simplicity and the softness that you are feeling. There is a subtle vibration within each of you. It is immediate in your breath, and it is noticeable just under your frustration and fear. That is the vibration that carries you, and that will always connect you because you are not disconnected. You cannot disconnect from that which you are. Be peace, which is lack of chaos. Allow peace, which is the absence of worry. Trust peace, which is the absence of blame. And know that through peace in you, you are aligned and safe. Safe, a word that means just high vibration. Safe, a word that means eased. Open, flowing, feeling. There's safety in feeling. Because at the core, it is all only love. Therefore, there's nothing to feel safe from. But be there in your silence with love. Not self-punishment. That is all that lower vibration wants you to do. Lower vibrations at this time want you to completely destroy your ability to align with the light, and that cannot be done because it is why you came. It is who you are. You are of the light, and therefore we ask that you allow yourself to stay aware and connected through breath at all times with the light because you are one. You are not creatures that can be lowered. Therefore, stop allowing yourself to go there. That vibration is heavy. That vibration is why this is cracking, because breaking needs to happen, but it is not you that is broken. Be well, you strong ones. You are strong beyond all comprehension. Life is strength, and forward is where life is flowing. We have much gratitude in you, and we have faith. We have faith in you. Okay, so I'm going to step out a little bit. This is me coming back. Sometimes I feel a flow, and then other times I feel, and they're gone. And so without sitting in like a lot of silence, I'm just going to jump back in. Plus it feels good to be, kind of back in control of everything again. Sometimes I get nervous because I don't always know where they're going to flow. And I don't always know what I'm going to hear. You know, and so sometimes this stuff concerns me as well. And, but did you have any questions? What did you think of that?
I thought that that was an interesting sound, but I thought that that was just a little bit spot on to a lot of my beliefs. I don't know about the people who are listening, but I am a firm believer in being the change, and what you brought forth through them, or what they brought forth through you, was very relevant to that, because it was about alignment. It was about choosing to vibrate higher, be real with yourself, not with everyone else. Which, are you aware of what they say through you as you're doing it?
I'm aware of the increase in emotion. I'm aware of the rocking. I'm aware of the, as they're talking, sometimes I feel like I'm watching the red bouncing ball, but normally in readings, I watch the red bouncing ball, but I'm the one reporting. When I channel the channel or Gabriel, I'm watching the red bouncing ball and they're doing the reporting, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay, good.
Okay. Mary Strickland, a friend of mine, joined us right as you were doing your breathing.
Okay.
And as she got here, I told her that, you were starting, channeling now. And she was like, oh, white lighting. So then she said, I am here in the time I was supposed to be. And I said, yes, you are. So she was responding through that. And she said, we're in a place she foresaw years ago. Many will be reset and function at a higher vibration, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
There's still, I think that most people are still trying to fight through the fear because there's a lot of fear. And that's something that I took to heart from your message, because their message. Sherry wants to know, do you know who you were channeling specifically?
Well, when I go into it and when they start to use terms like we, that is always the channel. And that's what I try to explain to people.
Is it kind of like the Q in Star Trek?
No, it feels like I am sitting in next to around. I can't explain it because it's not necessarily spatial, but I feel like I am around a bunch of higher beings that I don't know how to explain it, that are above me and can see more. And they're just not where I'm at. I don't know how to explain that other than they're very smart. They're very black, white. And I notice that they'll pick up speed and then I slow down, kind of like waves. But no.
It's like when it gets more important, when it gets more, to me, it seemed like it was when they were getting to more relevancy for themselves. That's where the speed came in, as they were getting to something that they were frustrated about, or they didn't understand why we weren't getting it, kind of a thing. And, that's where, my favorite here, I had so many favorites in their message, but at the core of everything, it's all only love, so there is nothing really that you have to feel safe from.
Yeah, sometimes I want to punch them. I know that sounds horrible because I'm also in the middle with everybody. So I say, okay, I get that. There's as a human, I think so many of us, even those who are so spiritual that do this work, many of us are finding ourselves face to face with God going, oh my God, is this it? Oh my God, how do I protect my children from this? Oh my God, people are like, oh, it's like the Spanish flu. It's a little different. It's just a little different. And it's not to compare the amount of deaths. I think we're at a completely different timeline than we were in 1918. But it's sometimes scary. But then I also know that sometimes it's so simple. If we keep pushing against love, it's going to be the one thing we always want, and yet it's the one thing we don't allow ourselves to experience. At some point,
it requires an opening. I think that's what this is, where there's nothing to feel safe from, because love is the core that we're all seeking. We don't have to be safe from that.
Oh, no, and if you think about that, why would you be in a relationship with anyone or anything that you don't feel safe from or with? You don't feel safe with,
well, and that's friendships.
Bingo.
Because that's what this was to me. That's what a lot of this was. Stop watching what you cannot control. To me, that was very timely, because I told you we had the news on like 24/7 for days, because and all that's doing, it doesn't matter what network, okay? They're all owned by the same people. It's all different, it's talking heads that are feeding you what's written down in front of them. And it doesn't matter what network you listen to. It's all colored for flavor. Anyway, they're owned by the same people. So when you're sitting there and you're watching this, if you can scare the masses, if you can make them feel that they're out of control, then you control them.
And I don't want to take away the fact that the masses are scared. I think
it's a scary time.
It is. And I think we, even, light workers, we're going to tiptoe back and forth a little bit because we're feeling, I think many of us are kind of feeling like, wait a minute, I know what to do now. I know what to do here. Do you know we really do know what to do here?
We do know what to do here because you know what? In large part, we are doing it and we're put in place. You and I are put in place here. Right? You and I did not have any idea that this was going to be our world when we got together and decided we were going to have a conversation.
No, I was going to talk about the UFO paraconference that we're supposed to be doing the end of this month in Fort Myers, and that's been postponed to August. So, a month ago, I think none of us would ever have manifested on any vision board that this was going to be happening in March of 2020.
I will add a caveat to that, though. And that is the fact that as empaths, as spiritual-sided reaction, people knew this was coming.
Yes, on an intuitive level, many of us.
There were so many people. I mean, because, I like all of us, I'm in different groups, right? Facebook and, actual websites or whatever. And almost to a person, right around November, maybe before, I was hearing everybody say, something is coming. I feel this. There's something building. I don't recognize this energy. It's going to be so bad, but I don't know what this is. I've never seen this energy. And it's just kind of like, well, yeah, I would agree with that. I was thinking something more,
I think a lot of us were feeling it. Last year, 2019, so 2018 to me, Spirit started saying, 2018, year of transformation. I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. Right. Well, boom, at the end of 2018, so many of my old souls found themselves pushed way outside of their comfort zones. And then we roll into 2019 and Spirit's like, okay, we got a pattern now. This year is year of authenticity. And I look at everybody and everything we went through in 2019, so very much what is the most authentic for me? What is the most authentic for you? And then we get to the end of 2019 and December went wild. And it was interesting because if you look at all of 2019, it was nothing but eclipses, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse. In fact, it started off with a lunar eclipse, I believe, South Node, South Node Capricorn, and it ended lunar eclipse, South Node Capricorn full moon. So, when you're looking at energy like that with the cosmos, I'm not an astrologer, but I do like to say is look at the big picture. So there was something going on even cosmically with all the shifting and shaking in 2019. And then December 30th, I went live with Gabriel. And so I didn't just get a memo. Spirit literally kept dropping. I mean, at one point, The Prophecy came on TV and what's his name? Christopher Walken played Gabriel. So I'm sitting here going, are you kidding me? And, when Spirit wants something, Spirit has a really kind of weird way of making it happen. And Gabriel said this was going to happen. And then after, that period of the 30th, from December 26th to January 2nd, we really did go to, there was a very big ending of a karmic cycle that took place. So old stuff, life after life after life, lots of karmic stuff came to a cleanse, done. This means so many of us have actually been doing our work. All right. So that karmic, all those karmic lifetimes done, cleansed, move forward. And Spirit showed me this period of time kind of like a car wash for the soul. And if you've ever seen the Never Ending Story, when Atreyu walks through the oracle, the gates, that's what that period of time looked like and felt like to me. And so as a species, we all went through that. Some of us didn't. You know, we've had a much more increased number of people passing away. And, you know, we look at it as, well, no, if there's just more technology, we could talk about it. Well, there's more people. So, you know, many more people are saying, yo, the year of authenticity was good for me. I'm done. And, you know, I think Kenny Rogers, rest in peace. I think him passing away during this time is brilliant. You know, the man was in his 80s. He, phenomenal artist, beautiful individual, and very much kind of said, look, I love you all. I leave, you know, the best to you. I'm out of here. Yeah. And here we are at this now. Here we are not even halfway through the year. And it is rocking and rolling. And I think all of us just need to ease, just look at the bigger picture. If you need to watch the news, watch the news. Just get educated on things and then step away. Don't dive into the conspiracy theories. You know, that's going down the rabbit hole. You know, that's okay. So there's conspiracies. Yay. You know, and can you control them? No. And what does Spirit say? You know, leave it alone.
Absolutely. Stop looking at what you can't control. And be aware of how you're holding space. That was part of that message too. Yeah, be aware of how you're holding space. I would assume that means what you're holding space for. Am I right? Well, right. And where you are, because you can't change something if you're not aware of it. So how many of us are holed up at home right now with someone that we can't believe we're still married to? Luckily, I am one of the happy campers. But I'm sure that there's people that are like, oh, my God, what was that joke? Make sure that, you know, if it's the end of times, make sure the person that you're living with is someone you like. Well, no kidding. You know, you're going to be stuck inside with them for a little bit. This is
and
if you don't like them, it's a good time to get to know them again. Because at one time
beautiful. You did. That is so beautiful.
At one time you loved them.
Right.
Try to find what you loved about them again.
Be playful. You know, a lot of people are so used to being adults. Be childlike right now. You know, don't run out and hug everybody, but run around in your own family and hug each other. Do fun videos with each other. You know, go live. Do little reports from inside the house.
My husband would have a conniption fit. He is
really?
But you know what? He's so funny because he actually offered to hold a recorder for me so I could triangulate an area to see if I could ascertain where EVPs were coming from. So he's coming right along.
That is very big, actually.
It really is.
That's so nice.
Awesome. But we've known each other since I was like 17. So,
wow.
You know, yeah.
Well, you know, when you could stay, well, and that's beautiful because right there, one of the biggest deficiencies we have as a planet is the ability to communicate. It's deficient. We don't know how. And if you're happily with somebody, married or not, I would say for more than 2 days. No. You know,
not far off, chick. Not far off.
If you know how to, if you can take accountability for not knowing how to communicate, imagine how magical that is. Yeah. And when we can all learn how to hold space for each other, you know, communication's twofold. It's speaking up. How are we speaking up? Are we speaking up lovingly, honestly, wholeheartedly? And then listening. I know we do not all listen and are present. I'm not sometimes. You know, my clairvoyant brain is all over the place and in neighborhood. So I think this is really, go ahead.
I just lost you for a moment, but I do have a couple of questions. Well, it just was like a brief spurt. I do have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
And we'll move back to the message part. Sherry again says, how did you start with all of this? Did you have experiences in your childhood? And then she wants to know if you ghost hunt too.
Oh, I love the second question. Actually, the second question was why I started doing what I do.
Yeah.
2009, I went to a 12-step program for eating. Yep, it's Overeaters Anonymous.
That's a great program.
It's a phenomenal program, and actually any 12-step program, the 12 steps are the same, and it is a spiritual experience, and it will open you up. And two of those tools that they tell you to use for recovery are journaling and meditation. And my little Catholic self, we don't meditate in church, so it was all new to me, and it just broke me wide open. And all of a sudden, Jesus Christ consciousness showed up in meditations, and I thought I was really going to hell. And I literally said, why me doing this? I have not trained. I didn't finish college, and I'm gay. And Jesus says, because at this time you bring a lot of hope. And basically, I'm not here because this was a maybe discussion, I asked to be an instrument of your peace. So be careful what you ask for. And that's that. I've been doing it nonstop since 2009, and I'm never going to not keep doing it, so, and then how do
you would be able to at this point?
No, and I love it. It's the most real thing I have ever experienced, other than giving birth to my child and working on my marriage with my husband.
Yep. Well, because it is work.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you love each other. I mean, you're different individuals. And fortunately, over the decades, because we got married, we got divorced, we remarried 10 years later. So, and we've been together for right at 30 years the second time. Pretty amazing. And so it's a very unusual relationship, but you have to learn how to live with someone. It's not, and people don't tell you that. People don't tell you that you have to learn to hold space for them, to acknowledge what they say, and to give them, little things. The little things are what manifested to big things if you're not taking care of it.
I don't think any of us know how to ask for what we need, because when we were younger and we asked, clearly we were faced with a response that didn't feel good. And, therefore we've been taught how to become passive aggressive. And so we become very passive aggressive in our own relationships. And somehow along the line, we were taught that we think this is what normal or healthy is. Brene Brown, her book, Dare to Lead, a phenomenal Audible, by the way. I hate reading, so Audible, is wonderful.
And they're free.
And they're free. Right now. I love that. I didn't know they were free right now. I know you get your first one.
A lot of them are.
I'm going to go look.
Yeah, you need to.
I will. Her book really goes into the importance of vulnerability. And to
My biggest struggle. Yeah.
Bingo. She even did some research showing that the employee manual in the Air Force, the United States Air Force, the employee manual of 1946, has words in it such as feelings and family and love. The employee manual of the United States Air Force Base now, or the United States Air Force, does not include those words anymore. And so our employee manuals have become sterile. And I don't think vulnerability is such a problem on a global level without it being a reflection of how it's a bigger problem at home. We don't want to be vulnerable because it means we're going to get hurt. And so we put walls up and we work very hard at defending those walls. But this situation that we're dealing with is forcing those walls to come down, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
And that's why I believe wholeheartedly that this message I'm receiving and that I work feverishly to give every day is the same flippin' message that you're getting. And, some of the people in your chat room are getting. And Brenda, I don't even know Brenda, but I'm looking at her and feeling her vibration. And this woman definitely gets a download or two on a daily basis. So, many of us have abilities because we are the ability. Do you understand that?
I do.
And those abilities are no more than Spirit's ability to speak to us, microphones. And we are all getting those messages. Spirit speaking to all of us because we aren't disconnected. And I think instead of looking at this as the great disconnection, I do know that the channel calls it the great calm.
The great calm is beautiful.
Yeah, it feels better, right? It feels, focus on what you can control. And I know I can control what I allow to control me. Yes. And sure as heck, I definitely want to feel the great calm right now.
I actually, even with all of the angst and all of the fear, all of the stuff coming out of the other countries, the one that I read that was, Dear America, we're you in 2 weeks. That one tore me up. It was written by a mother who was home with her husband and 2 children, and her mother lived in a different region. So they were not in the same, area. And her mother was almost 80. So it was very eye-opening. I was pretty amazed because this is a fantastic question in our chat. And it's over in the Spreaker chat, so you can't see it, I don't think. But it's from Mary. And she says, do you think that the spirits are also being affected? I guess she means by the situation that we find ourselves in, and how. Do you think spirits are affected by our reality?
What I do know when I work with mediumship, when loved ones come through, because I've done this for a little chunk of time, I'm able to look at consistencies with different messages. And I find that as we heal, they heal. As they heal, we heal. There's constant alignment. It's like lift and pull and lift and pull and lift and pull. I do not believe that when we are on the other side, now understand it is free will, because I do work with a lot of beings within the paranormal field or sector, quote unquote. There are people that are earthbound, not in body, and there's lots of reasons as to why. Are those individuals affected here? I think I could answer that lots of different ways. It depends on the realm. It depends on the kind of haunting it is. There's lots of answers to that. But for those that are in spirit form, that are not earthbound, that did completely transition, I don't believe they can be affected, because on the other side, on the other side, it's only alignment, which is why it is imperative that we listen to them. If we heal each other, and in this round, they have the upper hand with, hey, use your intuition, breathe more, allow us in, then it's kind of like there's the drivers taking over a little bit. And I don't believe that spirit can be affected like that. I believe, if anything, spirit's trying to affect us with a reminder of why we're here and who we are.
Well, just like with the channel just now, that was the primary of the message was, remember, you wanted to do this. You asked to become beings who, and I believe that's true. I believe we all have a soul contract, and that we chose to be here in this time for whatever reason. And I have reasons for having those beliefs. It's not just something I'm tossing out. But it's very interesting to me that this is where this came from, with we're supposed to be embracing the simplicity and softness, and you you feel the vibration from each, and then you feel it under your frustration and fear. Because even though that's rising to the core, that's what I got from that. And it also says that these lower beings cannot disconnect from what you are. Disconnect you from what you are.
I think even in the paranormal field, I can go toe-to-toe with many professional investigators, some even on television, and I have, and I will continue to go toe-to-toe. I believe in attachments. I believe in attachments on a much more bigger playing field than just one out of every 9 million people. I think attachments are that lower vibration. I think it is their goal to keep us disbanded, and they do. It's like little parasites that poke. And the only control they have is on wherever we give our attention. And if it's low vibrational, then and how do they have control? They will play with our thoughts. They know what you're most afraid of. So if you have issues with money right now, every time you relax and you start to breathe, right, you're going to be faced with two options: continue to focus on what you want, or that fear is going to set in. And anytime that fear sets in, there's always going to be low vibrational there. And then people go, oh my God, you can't start saying that demons are everywhere. And I want to say, honey, demons have been everywhere from the beginning of time. They do not have any control over higher vibration, which is why it is easier to step in and try to remove us, because it isn't about us. It's about getting back at their source, at God. And this is the only playing field they have on earth. And so people go, oh my God, now that's so scary. Now I don't want to leave my home. And I say, gosh, you leave your home every day and there's bees and spiders and your exes and snakes and your
the reason
neighbor.
I would stay in. Yes.
Right. But, this is not a time to be afraid of what we think is there. It's a time to be aware of what is there and then make decisions that align with you. If you have that much fear, then stop walking around saying that you have that much faith.
I agree.
And
That's
so
an absolute fact.
That is an absolute fact. And, not once is the channel saying you're going to be swallowed alive. We're going to watch you go down. The darkness can win. Never. They're just like, dude, lift up, breathe, focus. We got this. Very black and white.
Well, and we got this collectively.
We do have this collectively.
And, gosh, I like this conversation. But we've only got about 3 minutes left, and I have posted your websites in the event. And do you want to I know that we've got breathewithapril.com, which if you go to www.april, excuse me, I'm losing my breath, of all things, but www.aprilroane.com, that will take you to everywhere you want to go. Oh, and we didn't even get to Cassadaga.
It's okay.
We're just going to have to come back.
Yes.
So, because this has been so fantastic, and I know that this is what was supposed to happen.
I appreciate you having me. I do want to let your listeners know I am giving away free copies of my empath workbook. There is a great forward on there from psychic medium Barry John in the UK, some stuff from Christopher Moon, just some great stuff, but it's free. And I decided to do that now because it's a whole workbook. It's a toolkit, and it's something that you can use, and you could sign up for that on the website. And there's also a Soothe Away the Cray guided meditation right now, which is important, because guided meditation simply mean you don't have to do any of the work. So there are some free things on the website for each of you. And if there's any way that I could assist in this period of chaos and confusion, I'm there for help. So just reach out to me.
When I said before that you are one of the most genuine people I've ever met, as well as one of the kindest, it was not just something. I mean, I really think that. And, we've only been face-to-face at one event.
Mm-hmm.
But I read too. And I have always liked you. I recognize you.
Thank you.
I think that's very important. And I think that people need to know that if they have questions, if they're having angst in this time, as we all are to a degree, lesser or greater, that you are a good person to reach out to.
I want to just help you along. I can't do the work for you, but I can definitely cheer you on and get you a part of the Spirit Posse.
Well, I think that's just the best. Oh, spiritposse.net.
Yes.
There you go. All these websites are in this event on the Fate Mag Radio Facebook page. If you saw the event, that's why you're listening. You can find her at any of those websites. She is brilliant. And I thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
And for everyone who is listening, thank you so much for being here. This has been one of my favorite shows ever. You all know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it anyway. We are fortunate to be in a society that is advanced enough to offer care to all of these people who are hurting. And we can lift each other up as we are trying to support those who are ill, trying to find support for ourselves. You're not by yourself. If you are not happy with the world that you're seeing, and right now, to be quite frank, who is, change it. Manifest. Come with your thoughts. Attack the negativity with your kindness and your prayer, whatever prayer is to you. And you know what? Be the change. We can do that. We have that ability. You be the change and just make a difference in your world. We all can do that. And I'm going to send you out with a little love and light. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you live again on Wednesday. Y'all take care. Good night. And we are done.